cuppa and relax. It's AfternoonKarak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atia.
On Pulse 95.
It's good to be back here on the show on a lovely Wednesday like this with some restraints, as we've made it very clear for the past couple of weeks.
What do you mean couple of weeks? Literally been a week and...
It feels like forever.
I understand because restraint is very difficult usually.
Yes, I know. It takes a while. It's a progressive development, you know, and just the sound effect is suffice at this point.
I mean, it's not even, that's all we need. We don't need extra sounds coming from other people here in the studio.
We'll keep it strictly professional on the show, at least most of the time.
That's a lie, because when have we ever? When have we ever? Just like for the first maybe 2 minutes, and then we go all out, because that's how, you know, we do it right here on the Afternoon Karak. We're being
it's
us,
the best moments, aren't they?
Aren't they? They are. They're usually the ones that happen by mistake, Mikhail, not the ones that are done on purpose to annoy our fellow presenters.
What did Bob Ross say? It says it's not mistakes, it's happy accidents or something?
See, that's the thing. Is it actually a mistake, Mikhail?
Sometimes it's deliberate.
Sometimes.
Like I rehearse and then I execute it on the show.
I know that. I'm fully aware of that. So
we'll keep it nice and chill. It's a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday.
You know, and as Wednesday goes, there's a lot to talk about. There's always some interesting developments happening in the entertainment industry, some video games. We got a bit of both. And we want you guys to join in this conversation. Text us 4215 because today we have a special celebration as well as a new cast has been added to the Borderlands movie. I actually forgot this movie was in development.
I didn't even know it was in development.
Don't be surprised. There's a lot of video games being adapted these days, and Borderlands seems to be the one movie out there. Great Gatsby, we talked about it earlier this week.
We spoke about the Muppets version. But apparently there's a TV show being created. Now, is that something we wanted? Because I remember we clearly stated we want a Muppet version of the Great Gatsby, not a TV show, but maybe they might change their minds. We can talk about that later on. There is one story that's, to say the least, it's making me want to cry. It's just making me very upset.
Aisha's wishful thinking?
Aisha's wishful thinking. Actually, no. There's two parts to this story. One of them, it involves Pacific Rim, and it's about Guillermo del Toro himself, who announced that he would feel like it'd be a great idea to have some sort of crossover where, I don't know, the kaijus, technically Godzilla and Kong are kaijus as well. Yeah. Maybe some sort of have the Jaegers fight the kaijus. We don't know. He's thinking of a crossover movie. But he also makes some very, very upsetting statements during that, while reading that tweet. So we're going to be talking about that later. We're going to kick off with our celebration that might be repeated before. But I feel that we should celebrate it more.
It is that important.
It is that important. So stay tuned for that and much more only here on Pulse 95.
What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
Happy Chocolate Day. Oh, no, hold on. Chocolate Cake Day. Not Chocolate Day, Chocolate Cake Day.
We've been celebrating all sorts of things that we have to be very specific with what we're celebrating, because there is a Happy Chocolate Day, but that's sometime later in the year.
Did we already do it?
I think we did, but last year for 2020.
Maybe. I think we've done it 20 times so far, but
it's chocolate.
It's chocolate.
What's even better is when you put it on a cake and turn it into a chocolate cake. Delicious.
I agree with you very much. Love me some chocolate cake, even though I usually would go for like vanilla, to be honest, because it's a nice canvas, but also chocolate as well is a very nice canvas.
Can't go wrong with it.
Exactly. A lot of people think that, chocolate is very decadent, which is true. It is very decadent, but then you can go crazy with chocolate flavors as well. First of all, there is white chocolate, there is dark chocolate, there is milk chocolate, there is ruby chocolate. There are 4 types of chocolate. So there you go. The base can be whatever you want.
Leave it to Aisha to know these things.
Of course. I mean, who doesn't know that? Come on, Mikhail. Second thing is, you can go crazy with the flavorings. Do you want, frosting? Do you want cream cheese? Sometimes that works out.
Double layer, triple layer?
Triple layer, 20 layers. Up to you. Do you want to add some fruits to it? And don't come at me and tell me that adding jam to it does not taste good. Have you guys had a very good Black Forest? Because Black Forest have cherries in the middle. And sometimes, now I learned this from a while back. I once had some, it was a chocolate cake. It was dark chocolate. and it had some raspberry sauce, raspberry coulis in between, and it was amazing. And that just made me fall in love with the idea of mixing chocolate with raspberries. So good. Or strawberries.
Honestly,
or add orange. Good. Orange. Chocolate. Orange cake is amazing. I don't care what people say. Orange and chocolate are a match made in heaven, guys. It is fantastic.
I want to just give a shout out to Hidayah. God bless her heart. During my birthday, she really didn't want me to like get my own cake. She didn't want to buy a cake. She actually sat down and replicated the recipe for the Matilda's chocolate cake from the movie. And I got to say, I absolutely love it. And God bless her, man. That was probably the best gift she ever did. And honestly, I think that's kind of what I want for the rest of my life. Just Matilda chocolate cakes. Have you seen that cake?
I have.
It's monstrously delicious.
It looks so good as well. So guys, how are you celebrating Chocolate Cake Day? I mean, this is an excuse to go ahead and, have just a decadent piece or 2 or 3 or 4. I mean,
we're sort of tempting you, we're play devil's advocate for once.
Exactly. You guys should be celebrating it in any form or way. Again, chocolate cake is your canvas. What do you want to do with it? Text us 4215 Salat or do. Again, I'm ready to fight with you guys. If you guys do not believe that chocolate and orange are a match made in heaven, you know how to contact us. Again, 4215 Salat or do. And also, our live stream is up on YouTube. Mikhail is keeping an eye on the comments. You guys can comment over there. There's a live chat going on. Pulse 95 Radio on YouTube. Now we move on to our next story, and that is Kevin Hart.
Oh dear.
In the new Borderlands movie. Let's talk about that.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
After months of negotiations, apparently Kevin Hart has officially entered the movie Borderlands that's going to be adapted by Lionsgate Studio, not video. The game is a video game. And it's quite interesting because, again, Mikhail and I completely forgot this movie existed or is happening or it's in the works.
Yeah.
And the fact that it took them months of negotiations makes me wonder, who is it that's making it hard for this to happen? Was it Kevin Hart and his representatives, or was it Lionsgate themselves? Did they actually scout him for the role of Roland, who is an incredibly skilled soldier, according to this statement? Because I haven't played Borderlands, so I don't know much about it besides its very unique art style and whatnot. And I have seen videos and whatnot, but I don't know much about the actual characters or the game besides, again, it's sort of like a first-person shooter game.
I have played Borderlands 1 and 2, but I actually... it's been so long that I kind of forgot some of these characters. I know Lilith and maybe some of the other bounty hunters, but Vault Hunters. But for me, I'm kind of weirded out by the fact that Kevin Hart is sort of jumping into another video game adaptation. I know that he starred in the 2 Jumanji films that came out. People loved it and whatnot. But Borderlands is very unique in its style and its way of telling its story and the adventures these Vault Hunters go through. And it's obviously filled with really, really wacky characters. And I'm worried that maybe Kevin Hart is miscasted in this. And
really? Because it is going to, obviously, everybody knows Borderlands also for its comedy, and that is within Kevin Hart's arena.
But I feel like he might just play the typical, role he's always played, the vulnerable kind of scaredy cat. He's done this in almost every film I've seen him in. And this is a role for a more serious character, one that kind of comes off as, a soldier, fearless, adventurous, is ready to take on risk. I'm not sure if Kevin Hart has what it takes. I feel like he's not befitting of that role in my opinion.
We don't know. Maybe this is his way of venturing towards other types of comedic roles besides the ones that he kept on playing. And I think he's gonna do fine with it, especially since the writer is Chernobyl's writer.
Oh, okay.
So I think when it comes to penning the script and whatnot, I think we're good within that role. And we also know that Cate Blanchett is also going to be playing the legendary Lilith that you just mentioned earlier.
And that was actually my main character.
There you go. There you go. At least Cate Blanchett has, we know that Cate has the role, penned down perfectly. So we just need to wait and see, hopefully, whenever the trailer comes out. Eventually, I'm guessing maybe within a year or 2, because we don't really know when the movie's coming out. Again, the fact that the movie is coming out in the first place was a surprise to most of us. Anyway, now we move on to another surprise, and that is the Great Gatsby TV series. Not what we asked for, but let's talk about that coming up next.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
On Pulse 95.
Earlier this week, we were talking about, it wasn't this week, it was last week, I think.
It wasn't this week?
Yeah, but I can't remember. Memory is a little fuzzy, but...
Well, yeah, because I actually thought today was Thursday, and I thought yesterday was Wednesday. So there's a good chance this probably was last week, but I think it's this week. But anyway, we're talking about The Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby, there was a fan fiction script, 108-page...
It's not fan fiction. It was written by an actual script writer.
Yes, you're right. But it does remain as fan fiction because it didn't get adapted.
They just wrote it. They never gave it to anybody.
Okay.
So, come on. You can't. Here's the thing. I'm going to go off a little bit.
Maybe because the fan fiction sounds like a lower tier piece of writing.
Fan fiction in general is not lower tier at all. We spoke about that as well. This was last week, remember?
Yes.
When we spoke about how there's going to be an acquisition of, AO3? Was it AO3 or Wattpad? Wattpad, yeah. Wattpad is going to be, bought out, and we got really excited for it because we all know that fan fiction or fanfiction.net, AO3, and Wattpad usually has a lot of writing that is quite beautiful and well written and deserves to be adapted into whether published into an actual series, a book series, or adapted for TVs. So, Mikhail, fan fiction is still very valid fiction.
Okay, so
I'm done with my monologue.
The Great Gatsby Muppet version, there was a script for it, but it never got picked up, and we're just speculating what could a Muppet version of Great Gatsby look like, and we wish it could happen.
Yeah.
But apparently there is a television series version of Great Gatsby in the works by AE Studios and ITV Studios America, who are teaming up with writer Michael Hurst for a big budget TV series based on the iconic novel.
Yes, and the good thing is this also involves the Fitzgerald household as well, as in they are involved in it, which means that they are the one, because Scott Fitzgerald, what's his name again? F. Scott Fitzgerald, those early 20th century names, they get me confused. But F. Scott Fitzgerald is the author of The Great Gatsby, and his estate is involved in this, which means that they have their hands in it, and it's going to be adapted as closely to the script as possible. But we also don't know what network it's going to be involved with because they didn't actually sell it or maybe pitch it to any network, and this comes exclusively from the Hollywood Reporter. So this is very new. So it could also be due to the actual networks themselves. Maybe they didn't actually give them out yet or pitch it to anybody else yet.
So the question here, and you can join in the conversation, 4215 and Salat Urdu, do we really need a Great Gatsby TV series?
Yeah, that's where I was like...
Yeah, because the book is kind of short, and I feel like the movie does enough from start to finish to tell you the gist of it entirely. I really like the recent one that starred Leonardo DiCaprio. It had that beautiful song from Lana Del Rey. I know you don't like her, but she did have that one song where it's like, will you still love me when I'm still...
And there's also a Beyonce song there. Do you know that?
I did not know that. I was more obsessed with the beautiful song.
The more beautiful? The more beautiful song?
Not
Are
the
we
more
going to
beautiful.
have a Lana Beyonce off right now?
What's it called? I forgot. Young and Beautiful.
Young and Beautiful. I know, I was teasing you. That's it. But no, there's also a 1920s version of Crazy in Love by Beyonce. It was very beautiful. It is in the actual movie. But back to the question, I really don't think that we do need another iteration of The Great Gatsby because this is going to be a limited mini-series. So it's incredibly small. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 episodes long. And yeah, it's going to be around an hour long, more or less. But like you said, I feel like it went through the entire story. It did it justice. It did it very well.
Is there a reason for it to be retold in
Unless
a
it's
form?
a Muppets version. That's different. That's a different version. If it was The Great Gatsby in space, maybe. If it's a Great Gatsby musical, that would be interesting.
Now, you said that a network hasn't yet picked it up. So what if Disney a network of its own picks
You
it
think
up.
so?
And they're like, hey, let's just turn it into a Muppet.
I don't know if Disney would actually do it, but they might. Who knows?
Hey, if the stars collide, and align just right, we might have.
We might just have a Muppets version of The Great Gatsby. Tell us, guys, would you prefer a normal version of The Great Gatsby or a Muppets version? I would want a musical. That would be an interesting take on it.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe, again, The Great Gatsby in space. Why not? A space opera. That could work out. We're going to be taking a short break. We've got these sports headlines coming up, so stay tuned for more information, more fun, more entertainment, only here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atia.
On Pulse 95.
Mikhail,
I'm so sorry.
wait, let's do a restart. Let's restart.
Okay.
Let's restart.
I'm still looking for it. Okay.
Still
I found
looking
it. Okay,
You
guys.
found it?
Give me a moment right here.
Give you a moment. Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atia.
On Pulse 95.
We're talking about Star Wars. We need our Star Wars music. It's not gonna give you the same feeling. Am I right?
I wonder what the playtime's going to be for this. It's definitely not like 50 hours. Maybe it's more, I'd say 100 plus. If you really want to sit down and take your time playing each game and fleshing out the adventure for each of the movies.
See, that's the thing. It depends also on how playable they are, and also they did add that there are going to be some new quests as well. They are making the stories more in depth. So again, it just depends on how are they going to let you play these characters, what is going on with the quests, are there going to be different storylines? So we just need to wait and see, because again, at least 300 stories.
I don't think we'll
That
even
is
have
insane.
enough time to review a game like that because it takes so long to play it.
Again, yeah,
But
that's
boy, that's a deal.
9 different stories, and that's just amazing. That just tells you that perhaps if you put your heart into it, you can actually do a game as crazy as this one. But it could also be just them hyping it up, and it might not be this big at all either. But again, still quite ambitious, and we praise them for that. Coming up next is another sort of game. We're going to be talking about Crash Bandicoot, this time in a mobile version. Stay tuned for that.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atia.
On Pulse 95.
See, I really thought that we kind of have outgrown those mobile games where kind of like Temple Run-ish. Temple Run and was it Subway? What is it? Subway Surfer.
Subway Surfer, yeah.
It was the one that started those games where you just start running and something is chasing you. But apparently, Crash Bandicoot is also going to have a very similar game, and it's going to be called Crash on the Run.
It's an obvious business practice from Activision at this point. You have a franchise as popular and lucrative as Crash, and you're going to want to capitalize on it in different forms. So they've done the remasters, they've released the Crash Team Racing, and now they came out with the spiritual successor, the sequel, Crash Bandicoot 4. And now it's just, for me, like, it's an obvious step, mobile game. And you and I probably outgrew mobile games, but a lot of people still play it.
I still play mobile games when I'm really bored, but then I think we outgrew those games that are similar to Temple Run and whatnot, where you're just running endlessly and something is chasing you.
Yeah, but like this is a Crash Bandicoot, franchise. Like
maybe I think they're following the footsteps of games such as Mario Kart, the one that is what's it called? Mario
like
Kart.
Mario Kart Tour.
Yeah,
something
Mario
like
Kart
that.
Tour, I believe, and there was a short-lived Mario Run as well. That one was kind of weird as well. Did not work out. It's very complicated. But I think maybe that's the new thing now where, okay, yes, I know it's nothing new where you'd have, for example, we have a Despicable Me run a long time ago. I understand that this is nothing new, but I think it's also new that you take a video game and turn it into a mobile game. I know one of my favorite series, Harvest Moon, also has a mobile version game, but this one is a bit more, I'd say, immersive a little bit. It's like taking the same game and just making it a mobile version. There is Pocket Camp, which is Animal Crossing, but a camp version on your phone that also kind of works the same way as the actual game. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're gonna put a kind of a mobile version of the game, why not have it similar to the actual video game itself, but smaller, on a smaller scale?
I think that's exactly what's happening here. Crash is a 3D, 2D platformer, so to put it into mobile form is perfect. Now, I don't know if I abide by the whole endless runner mechanic.
See, that is my criticism.
But that's just the mobile industry sort of popularizing it.
But not
you know?
anymore. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody is actually playing Temple Run anymore. Maybe there's like one or two people in the world, who knows? But that's what I'm trying to say, is that if you're gonna make a mobile version of your video game, make it something that reminiscent of the actual video game, because that's what people would probably want. They want something kind of similar. If they had done maybe Crash Team Racing on the mobile, that would be really cool, similar to Mario Kart, or even, I don't know, like something, a platformer or that is similar to it on the phone. It's quite doable, especially with how, much stronger our phones are since the, release of Temple Run and all those kind of Temple Run-esque kind of games. So they had the opportunity. Why did they go towards this direction?
Microtransactions.
Even that, again, even if you had let's say Crash Team Racing on mobile, you can customize your car. You can get a better looking car. You can unlock different characters. There are different ways where they can get microtransactions. They're going to be much more sought out for, rather than having a game such as, Crash Run.
Well, if anybody's interested on this platformer, endless runner platformer, it's going to be coming out in spring 2021, which is roughly around March 25th. And I don't play mobile games, but to anyone out there, I won't judge you as long as you're having fun.
Listen, mobile games are nice. I don't play Candy Crush.
They can be, but this is...
Do you know that game 2048 or 2048, something like that?
No.
The one where you have to keep on adding the blocks until they reach a big
that
number.
was on Facebook, I remember. And you would see your friends and how high they did, and you try to get higher.
No. Basically, it's not on Facebook. It's on your phone.
It was, I think, originally on Facebook, then came out.
This is different. Okay. Basically, what you're doing is that you have to reach a specific number. You have to keep on adding your blocks. So then there's going to be a block that says 2 and a block that says 2. You add them together, they become 4. You have to keep on adding 4 and 4, 8, 16, all the way till that's big number. And I've been playing this game for years, and I never won.
Yeah,
it's just too
Speaking
difficult.
of playing for years, Heda, she wrote on the YouTube, you can guys comment there. She says, better than Candy Crush. Ironically enough, Heda, this is going to be developed by the same people who developed Candy Crush, King. So, and she's still playing Candy Crush to this day. She's like at level 800 or something. And she refuses to put money into it. I mean, this weird dedication to the game and discipline of not paying. I don't know, man.
A lot of people are still playing Candy Crush. Shout out to them for being able to keep on going. And let's move on to the next story. It's going to be a very... I'm going to have a long monologue, so if you guys want to listen to that, make sure you're tuning in. Coming up next, Guillermo del Toro, Pacific Rim, who's King? Kong versus God. Well, Godzilla is the king of the monsters. Godzilla versus Kong, coming up next, right here on Pulse 95.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
I really recommend you guys to go on YouTube and check out the Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. Really epic. We talked about it yesterday here on the show. And there was this one moment where Aisha's like, boy, I'd love if Pacific Rim gets involved in this action.
I said no. What I said is I wish Pacific Rim, somehow we'd get a prequel, and we'll get to it in a moment.
Okay.
Because we were talking about Guillermo del Toro, who is the director of Pacific Rim. So he is, he's well versed in the MonsterVerse. How about that? Was it a good one?
Yeah, that's really
Thank you. So, well, if you guys haven't heard of Pacific Rim or haven't heard me rant about it for, within every opportunity I can get in the past 2 years. It is a movie about, giant monsters from outer space as well as giant robots. It's a beautiful movie. Go check it out. Again, created by the fantastic Guillermo del Toro.
Just don't watch the sequel.
Yeah, don't watch the sequel.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. We pretend it. I love John Boyega, but I'm really sorry. We pretend this movie does not exist. So he was asked, he was like, what are your feelings about Godzilla versus Kong? And he says it would be really cool to have some sort of crossover where you can see the actual robots, the Jaegers that were in Pacific Rim fighting the kaijus that are Godzilla or Kong or Mothra or what's it called? What is it called? Starts with a G.
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah, yes. See, I know my monsters. I know my kaijus. I forget them, but I know them. So yeah, I agree with him. It would be really amazing to see it. It's like a nice crossover because again, this deals with monsters, kaijus, and whatnot. And here we have more kaijus. So it's a no-brainer that this could work out.
But how do you write Pacific Rim into the world of Godzilla? Because
or the other way around.
Because in Pacific Rim, the kaijus are coming from another dimension.
Yeah.
Where
that's
everything.
A spoiler alert, Mikhail. I know it's been like 8 years.
It's like the first 5 minutes of the movie intro.
Actually, no, that's the ending.
Okay.
That's literally the ending of the movie.
I mean, they're coming from
That's literally what they discover at the end of the movie, Mikhail.
Okay, I'm sorry for that spoiler, but
spoilers.
Where the world of Godzilla, the monsters they have been there and they've always been there for millions of years, or I don't know. Kaijus are from a different place. They don't really naturally inhabit
that's
the earth.
The thing. What if, instead of, I don't know, Godzilla wakes up because all those kaijus are going crazy and Godzilla's like, not on my earth, and I'm the one who's gonna be messing up my earth. What are you guys coming out there from another dimension and trying to destroy my earth? Nuh-uh, you guys are not gonna do it.
Or he shoots, like, how he usually shoots the radiator beam from his mouth?
Yeah.
What if he accidentally shoots it underwater, which causes the entrance for the kaiju to come out, and boom, bada bing, we got the Pacific Rim universe, and I don't know. I'm sorry. That's why I'm not a movie writer, but
You tried, but the thing that upset me the most was not this part of the interview or his tweets. He actually says he doesn't see himself going back to the Pacific Rim universe, and I wanted to cry at that moment.
I think because he's a one-time kind of. I don't think he's ever made a sequel to any of his films.
But here's the thing. Him and the actual writer, like the entire group, the producers and whatnot, they had planned out a prequel. He had planned one out.
Oh, man.
And that we spoke about that a while back as well, that he had planned out a prequel where he wanted to talk about, how the first Jaeger pilots came into it, because we jump into the movie way later.
Like mid-generation.
Basically at the end of the generation, actually, not even mid-generation. It was basically the end of it. And, what about the first Jaeger pilots? It would have been an amazing story. And it would have been a really great way to delve further into the characters and even to the creation of the Jaegers, because the first Jaegers, a little bit of Pacific Rim lore, they were created by nuclear radiation and whatnot. So it was nuclear powered, which was a problem because, again, a bit of a spoiler alert, it caused... obviously, nuclear radiation and whatnot.
A lot of damage. A lot of
damage to the pilots themselves. So it would be an interesting way to look into it. And how did they eventually change their Jaegers? And I'm going on and on.
Yeah, Aisha. But we can be excited. We can be excited for his next project later coming out this year, the Pinocchio, the stop motion.
I don't care. I want Pacific Rim.
You can always rewatch it, And
they removed it from Netflix.
Oh, they did.
They removed it from
humanity.
Netflix.
Such blasphemy.
It's such blasphemy. But what isn't blasphemous is that we still have one more segment to go, guys. So stay tuned for that and much more only here on the Afternoon Karak.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak. For dessert,
Aisha and Mikhail suggest...
My suggestion yesterday was for you guys to write down everything that brings you comfort and try to use it as an arsenal, as a protective shield to make sure that you take care of yourself and enhance yourself and make yourself feel better, because as much as you surround yourself with all kinds of beautiful people who, appreciate and love you, at the end of the day, you still need to take care of yourself by yourself. And on that note, Mikhail has something similar to kind of add to that in his today's suggestion.
So my suggestion, and to sort of add to Aisha's list, is to write down a list of promises you've made to yourself and to others and see if they need to be fulfilled as soon as possible. My mother, Allah, used to say that a man is as good as his word. And whenever you make a word, that is, people will always remember you for that. You are defined by the words that you give out. And so I think it's important that if you made a promise to yourself or to anybody out there, please try to fulfill them.
Absolutely. There are all types of promises you might have made to yourself or other people. You might have promised yourself to, I don't know, something very simple. You're going to bake more. Maybe you're going to clean your room more often. Maybe you're going to rearrange your room. Maybe you promised somebody you are going to take them out for coffee, of course, with social distancing and, the precautionary measures, take the vaccine, etc., etc. Just write down all those things, because sometimes writing something down will make things much more clear, and take all that clutter in your head and putting it out on paper and planning it out very nicely.
Yes, and that is it, guys, for the Afternoon Karak. Hope you enjoyed the hour. If you missed out on any of our discussions, you can always find us uploading our YouTube video on Pulse 95 Radio, as well as tuning into our podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or just right up Afternoon Karak.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, basically.
Exactly.
We are everywhere.
And that is it, guys. We'll have Yalla Home keeping you guys entertained and busy from 5 till 8 o'clock right here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.